Underground Chattanooga. Sounds creepy, and it kinda is. Underground Chattanooga is an area of Chattanooga that is now below ground because of the city's effort to prevent any more flooding in downtown Chattanooga. See, during the 1800s and parts of the early 1900s, Chattanooga experienced catastrophic floods nearly every decade. You can imagine the damage these floods would do not only to structures, but to entire industries in the city. Every time a flood came through, the city experienced a long period of downtime that followed. The city's commerce was being destroyed every decade and rebuilt just to be destroyed again. The 1867 flood of Chattanooga would force the city to make a stand against these natural disasters. From March 7th to March 11th of 1867, most of Chattanooga was underwater. The Tennessee River reached 58 feet above its normal level, which gave Chattanooga no chance. As the flood raged on, Chattanooga would be under 8 feet of water in some places. As if the flood wasn't bad enough, the city had given no warning to the people, so they had no idea it was coming. Structures were damaged, telegraph lines were destroyed, lives were lost, and livestock and crops were washed away. Once night came, violence reigned. Looting and murder occurred while the Tennessee River continued to rise. The destruction was unthinkable. Those still alive were very lucky. During the flood, officials were planning a massive public works program. They decided they were going to protect Chattanooga from future flooding by raising the city by one story. In other words, they were going to place fill dirt into the street until they raised the roads and sidewalks high enough so the flood couldn't devastate them again. Fortunately, the creation of TVA in the 1930s would greatly help the flooding situation with the creation of Chickamauga Dam upriver. And so they did. The city layered dirt with sawmill scraps and foundry waste. They raised the city's streets up to 15 feet higher than before. A total of over 40 blocks of the city were raised. Then the public collectively forgot about this raising of the city over time. This created what we now call today Underground Chattanooga. Years later, University of Tennessee Chattanooga professor Jeff Brown began to notice things that seemed out of place as he walked the downtown area. City workers would tell him that there were doorways, tunnels, and rooms underground that led to nowhere. He noticed that what looked like the tops of windows could be seen going underground. As he continued researching these strange structures, he could find no evidence or reasoning as to why the structures had these weird attachments. Eventually, he made the connection. He rediscovered that the entire city had been artificially raised and that these were weird underground structures that used to be the first floor of buildings. Underground Chattanooga is a fascinating piece of history and shows us how easy it can be to lose history over time. In fact, many people still disagree with Professor Brown's discovery of underground Chattanooga. They claim that these stairs to nowhere were common back in the day, that the half-underground windows were used for light and ventilation, and the open archways were simply built for structural integrity. The logic behind underground Chattanooga being built seems strong enough to make the inference that the city did in fact raise a large part of downtown Chattanooga to keep the city from flooding again. But what do you think?